It was one of those cold, rainy mornings in New York City when everything seemed gray, wet, and hopeless. The drizzle blurred the edges of skyscrapers, turning the streets into a muted mosaic of umbrellas and hurried footsteps. People rushed past each other, clutching coffee cups and folding their collars against the rain, each lost in their own world of worries and deadlines. Among them was a young man named Ethan, barely in his 20s, wearing worn-out sneakers and a jacket that had long lost its color. He worked as a delivery driver, a job that barely covered rent, food, and the small comforts of life. Every day felt like a battle, yet beneath the fatigue and struggle, Ethan carried a quiet hope, a belief that someday, somehow, things might change. That morning, as Ethan navigated the crowded sidewalks, he noticed an elderly woman struggling to carry a bag of groceries across the street. Her thin coat was soaked through, and her hands shook as she balanced the heavy bag. Most people hurried past without a glance, too preoccupied with their own lives to notice. But something in Ethan's chest tugged him forward. "Excuse me, ma'am, can I help you with that?" he asked gently, stepping closer. The woman looked up, surprised. "Oh, thank you, young man. That would be very kind of you," she said, her voice trembling yet warm. Ethan grabbed the bag and guided her safely across the street. When they reached the other side, she smiled at him, her eyes glimmering with gratitude. For a moment, the gray city felt lighter, as though a small spark of warmth had pierced the gloom. It was such a simple act, yet for her, it had meant the world. After helping her, Ethan continued his deliveries, his mind focused on the tasks ahead, on the next drop-off, the next tip, the next small step toward keeping his life afloat. Yet, the memory of her smile lingered. For the first time in weeks, he felt a quiet happiness, a sense that doing something good, however small, could matter. A few blocks later, Ethan noticed a man in his late 50s sitting on a park bench, shivering in the rain. The man's car had broken down, and he had no umbrella, no phone, nothing but a look of frustration and despair. Passers-by ignored him, faces buried in phones or wrapped in scarves, oblivious to his struggle. Ethan hesitated. He had his own worries, unfinished deliveries, overdue bills, rent, but he couldn't just walk away. He approached the man. "Sir, are you okay? Do you need some help?" The man looked up, surprised, and let out a sigh. I don't know. My car broke down, and I have an important meeting in an hour. I have no cab, no one to call. I'm stuck." Without a second thought, Ethan opened his umbrella and said, "Don't worry. I'll help you get there." The man's eyes widened. Why would you do that? You don't even know me." Ethan shrugged, smiling. "Because it's the right thing to do. That's all." Together, they pushed the broken-down car to the side of the street, soaked through by the steady rain. Then, Ethan hailed a cab, made sure the man got in, and waited until he confirmed he had arrived safely at his meeting. The man thanked him repeatedly, insisting that Ethan accept some money for his time. "I can't," Ethan said firmly. "I'm just glad you're okay." The man shook his head. "Please. You don't understand. I insist." He handed Ethan a small envelope before getting out of the cab. Curious, Ethan opened it later, expecting a few dollars. But his eyes widened in shock. Inside was $5,000. For a moment, he couldn't comprehend what he was seeing. The man, whose name was Richard, was no ordinary businessman. He was a successful entrepreneur and philanthropist, known for quietly changing countless lives through his generosity. Richard had been observing Ethan's selflessness, and his actions had left a deep impression. Helping without expectation, without seeking reward or recognition, it was rare, and it reminded Richard of why kindness mattered in the world. "I've met many people who help others hoping for praise or reward," Richard explained later. "But you helped simply because it was the right thing. That is extraordinary." Ethan couldn't believe it. His life, which had been a constant struggle, suddenly seemed like it was turning a corner. But beyond the money, what struck him most was the validation of his values, the affirmation that even small acts of kindness could have a profound impact. News of Ethan's story quickly spread. People called him the young man with a golden heart. His simple acts of compassion inspired others in the city to pause, notice, and lend a hand. But Ethan didn't care about fame or recognition. He returned to his deliveries, continued helping those around him, and maintained his quiet belief in the power of kindness. Months later, Richard reached out again. This time, he offered Ethan a job, not just any job, but a position in his company where he could grow, learn, and make a real difference in people's lives. Ethan accepted, his heart swelling with gratitude and excitement. From that day forward, Ethan's life changed dramatically, not just financially, but emotionally and spiritually. He realized that one small act of kindness could set off a ripple effect, affecting countless lives, including his own. The lesson Ethan's story teaches is clear: kindness is never wasted. Even when it seems small or insignificant, helping others can create ripples that reach farther than we imagine. Life may be tough, struggles may seem endless, but choosing compassion and empathy can lead to extraordinary outcomes. Ethan didn't seek reward or recognition, yet his selflessness opened doors he never dreamed possible. And Richard, inspired by Ethan's pure-hearted actions, was reminded of the incredible difference one human being can make in another's life. So the next time you see someone in need, remember Ethan's story. A small act, a helping hand, a kind word, a moment of patience, can change lives in ways we can't even imagine. Kindness matters. Always.